Hi, I'm Apollonia. You may remember me from Purple Rain as leading lady to Prince, or from my band Apollonia 6. I've starred in films, TV shows, and I've been on the cover of magazines all over the world, including Playboy. I was also an LA Rams cheerleader. I'm going to take you with me. Welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. Hi, I'm Apollonia, and welcome to Apollonia Studio 6. On my right is my co-host, Mr. Seth. Mr. Seth, who do we have here today?
Today, we are overjoyed to have someone that's not only our friend, but we consider a brother. He is an unbelievable writer, producer, musician. If Minneapolis had a Mount Rushmore of music, his face would be there. Mm-hmm. He's just that amazing. The one and only Mr. André Cymone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome,
you.
André.
You're far too kind. Thank you.
Oh.
Far too kind.
Wow.
Yes.
André Cymone. Thank you
I'm honored
so
to be
much.
here. Just so you know, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you guys plucked me out of my obscurity. Got me out of my studio. So I'm happy to be here.
We're just delighted that you're here with us.
It's an honor. I mean, like Seth says, you're our family. You know, you're
Absolutely.
our brother. We love you so much. We visit
Yes,
often.
We do.
Unfortunately, COVID has kept us a little bit apart, so this allows us to hang out, and you know, maybe we'll do something fun later. You know, a little surprise.
That would be great.
But thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So we have so many questions for you.
Yes.
Do you have a question? You want to start?
Well, you know, I think that you know, most of the world is familiar with the story that, you know, you and Prince were best friends growing up, and you were in bands, and since you were knee high to a grasshopper.
That's about right. Yeah.
And that he lived with your
Family.
for a long time, and you and him actually wrote a lot of songs together. Do you remember maybe the first song the two of you wrote together and how old the two of you were?
Probably about, I would say maybe 12, 13, maybe something like that. Yeah. We were in 7th grade. So, and right away we had so much in common.
Yeah.
Cause when he said he was a musician, I really thought he was joking, cause I thought, cause I was already, I'd already been in a talent show and hated it, but I loved it, cause I should have danced, but instead I sang. So I thought that, I thought I was there. I was on my way, and I already thought, Jackson 5, I had my sights on Michael Jackson and taking him out, right? And then I met Prince, and he said, "Yeah, I play music." I said, "Yeah, sure you do." And he said, "No, really?" I said, "Yeah, well, good. So do I." But and then we, as we got to talking, it turns out he was serious, and we started talking about music. And the thing that really, I think probably drew me, and probably drew him as well, is his knowledge of the music that I was listening to. Because I was a loner back then. I didn't have very many friends at all. I still don't. But back then I was such an oddball because I used to listen to a lot of. I was just into music, and because I was the youngest of 6, we had tons and tons of records. And so one of the things that was interesting is I would say a song about, I said, "Well, do you know," and I said like Association, Cherish, and he's like, "Yeah, you know that?" I was like, "Yeah, do you know that?" And then I would say another song. I would just try to see if I, just, because if I want to see if somebody really is serious about music, I'll name songs and music to see if they're really, because if you're really into it, you'll know all this stuff. Obviously the James Brown stuff is easy, and, and back then, Motown stuff was easy, Smokey Robinson, Miracles, all Temptations, all that stuff is easy. But getting into like the Righteous Brothers or well, even the Beatles,
I was just going to say the Beatles. I was thinking that.
He was like in all that stuff. And then I find out, I think you've probably heard the story a million times, but our fathers were in a band together. We didn't know that when we met. We didn't realize that until
I didn't know that.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
know that?
Wow. No,
No,
I
we
didn't know
didn't.
you got
We didn't know that
fathers were in bands.
until after we met in seventh grade. And he said, "You should come and jam." And so I went to jam over at his dad's apartment, and he's playing the piano, and then I was like, "Okay, so you really are a musician." And so we was jamming, and his dad had a big ukulele, and I played it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you can play." So we realized we both can play. And so as I was sitting there listening to him play like Man from U.N.C.L.E. or whatever it was, I looked on the piano, and it was like a picture of a band, and I realized the guy in the back looked like my dad, but he had hair. My dad, my dad didn't have hair. It's like,
right.
So he told me to ask his dad when he got home, which I did. And his dad, first was looking at me like, "Why are you here?"
Right.
But when I asked him about the picture, he freaked out. I mean, he freaked out. He was like, "You're Fred Anderson's son." He's like, "Oh my God."
Wow.
And he just went from wanting me out of the apartment to he wanted me to move in. Basically, he was like, then he started talking about my dad, and I'd never heard stories like that about my dad. He knew my mom, he knew my family, he knew all about me, which was very, very weird.
Remarkable.
But, from then on, we were good friends.
So what year, about what time was this?
70, maybe
70s?
71, 70, I guess, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Wow.
Wild.
Yeah.
So I have you here, it says you're born in Minneapolis, of course.
That's correct, yeah.
Musician, bass player, piano player, guitar, drums, bass, brass section, record producer, brilliant songwriter, composer, rock, funk, new wave, urban, contemporary. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I got it honestly because my father was a musician, and I really am lucky because he's, serious musician. He took music extremely serious. I mean, you got to know John Nelson, you know.
Yes.
He was like a mentor and a teacher
Right.
and all that kind of stuff, and he took music serious. And, he basically kind of, taught me a lot about life and about music and about a lot of this stuff. So, I mean, one of the things that they did is really, said if you're going to get involved in music, but really not just him, but him and, my family, people in my family as well. I mean, because they're very, they said, you got to be serious.
Right.
And I've always been somebody who, I mean, I don't, compromise is not it's not a big word in my vocabulary. I don't really, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about that earlier.
Right.
It's a word I'm still working on, but I'm getting there.
Now, your mom is well known to all of us, Bernadette, social worker.
Yeah.
And she did a lot for Prince, became like a mother figure.
Mhm.
You're the youngest of 6.
That's correct. Yeah.
So tell me about what was that like to have, then the Anderson home, had a new member of the family, a young Prince,
Mhm.
because his father and him had issues. So he didn't have a place to live. So he stayed with you. He lived with you, and your mother became sort of like his mother. And then, ironically, John, his father, mentored you.
Yeah, it's a little different than all of that, but in essence, that's sort of right.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. But ultimately, he came to live with us. I mean, I think he had whatever his issues were, but I mean, my family's house, my mother's house, was one of those kind of houses. There's always a house in the neighborhood where everybody sort of gravitates, and you have the freedom to do, what you want, what you like, and our thing was music, obviously. And, like I said, I was really into music. And so for him to find somebody that was as into music as I was, he just loved hanging out, and he just kept wanting to be around. And, every time I turned around, there he was.
Right.
And, I mean, it was a little bit weird,
He
because
became like a little brother almost, and
he really was
looking up to you.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was, how do I say? It's not very flattering for me, but because I grew up in the projects, so I kind of had a very street kind of presence about me, and I didn't take a whole lot of stuff from anybody. and I didn't have a whole lot of patience for nonsense. And I was about just doing stuff, you know. I'm still like that. I'm just like, I'm not interested in talking about anything. You know, people talk about a lot of stuff, and it's like I said in the beginning, he talked about how he did this and did that and played all these. He didn't talk about playing his, but he said he played the piano and the guitar, and I was like, yeah, well, show me,
Right.
And I've always been like that. It's just, it's like let's, and then it was like, oh well, but it, yeah, it was, but with the Andersons, growing up, with all that, it's just a beautiful thing because my family is very dynamic. My mother is very, very loving and very nurturing, and really, I think meant the world to him because in some ways, she kind of became closer to him at points than she was even with me. So that's how how dynamic it got.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting. There was a few times I found myself going, how come I can't have that last slice of cake?
Right.
Why does he get that?
I was just going to ask, how did that make you feel in your own home?
Yeah, ultimately it was cool because being the youngest and having to sort of, because my older brothers were no nonsense. They were like no joke. So I finally had somebody that I could sort of that was on the same level. It wasn't like I had to do everything and just listen to whatever they say, whatever kind of goofball job they gave me to go run and have to do. Here, go hide this bag over here. Make sure that, see those guys with those uniforms, make sure that they come. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I could stop doing that.
Man.
But your some of your siblings were musically inclined too, because your sister Linda was in your band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was also in our
Grand
band. Yeah.
Central
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, she was. When we decided to put a band together, I said I have a sister that plays keyboards.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how she came to be in that environment. And and Linda's she's very talented, but she's very shy. So it's it wasn't an easy sell for her. But me being the kind of brother that I am, I was able to keep pushing and finally got her to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sold her on it.
Yeah.
I was looking, the name Grand Central, you had to change it to Champaign because of Graham Central Station.
That's not right.
That's not right?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Wikipedia, what the hell's going on with you fools?
Yeah, how would they know?
So explain it, then correct me, please. Or correct Wikipedia. Correct us both.
Yeah. Grand Central, first of all, it was Grand from Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Central,
Yeah, that's, Mark
Central,
Farner.
Yeah. We used to play a lot of that stuff. That was one of Prince's favorite groups.
Really?
Yeah. The guitar player, Mark Farner. Yeah.
He was hot.
That was one of his favorite guitarists.
Really?
So yeah, no, Grand came from Grand Funk Railroad Central because he went to Central High School. And we were Grand Central, and it got to be a problem because people kept saying, yeah, Grand Central Station, and that got to be an issue.
Right.
But ultimately, when Prince left, because he came up with the name, we just, Morris and his mother decided maybe we should come up with another name. And so we came up with Champaign.
So Morris was in Champaign.
Oh, yeah. Champaign, Illinois. That was kind of the playoff of that whole thing.
Man.
So when Prince left to do his solo thing, and you continued on without him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. There's a
whole nother.
I mean, it's
thing.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. All right.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
So let's jump forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about when it's time, when Prince gets his deal, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's time for the touring band. I'm sure it was probably a no-brainer that you're going to be right there with him. You're his right-hand man. You're his partner in crime. This is just me on the outside looking in. that you're going to be there.
Yeah, well, honestly, it wasn't guaranteed. I mean, because
Really?
oh no, yeah, no. Well, like I said, we had a whole nother thing going on because
Okay.
we were cutting demo tapes and stuff
Okay.
like that. And,
Okay.
he cut his demo tape. We cut our demo tape. His demo tape was good.
Yeah.
Our demo tape was really,
Really good. Really
Damn.
good.
But I had a choice to make, and that was to keep going with the band that was, that I was with,
Yeah.
and Morris and there was a couple other members in the band. We had a new guitar player, but Prince was still my best friend.
Yeah.
And he kept asking me, you gotta do this with me. He actually tried to get me. He said, we should do a Brothers Johnson thing. And I was like, man, you're already signed. They signed you. I'm like, I said, but you know what? I got your back. Whatever you need. And so the rest is history. I wound up going, helping him pick the band, work out some of the material. We went to Sausalito, recorded the first record, recorded the second record right on Beverly Glen, but with Gary Brandt, which, Prince and Gary had some interesting issues. And then the third album we did in the house that we did that photo shoot of Dirty Mind.
Dirty Mind. Yeah. Dirty Mind.
Wow.
Wow.
It's rich history. It's just like I am at a loss of words because there's just so much.
Well, what I often wondered, what kind of triggered the change from the Prince album to the Dirty Mind album? Because there was a definite shift.
Well, think about music. I mean, music was evolving because, we were coming off the disco vibe. And if you listen to that, there's a lot of disco stuff, all that, so there's a lot of that, which, and, I mean, me and Prince used to go to clubs a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to, and the thing is, obviously he didn't speak much. So I wound up doing a lot of talking. So I would talk DJs into playing some of the stuff we were trying out, stuff like that. So that was always interesting, because I would just, try my whole little ghetto thing, and, I thought I was like, James Cagney or Humphrey Bogart. Yeah, you're going to play this record, see? Yeah. You're either going to play it or you're going to have a problem with me. Understand? You don't want a problem with me, do you? So anyway, but I managed to get them to play a lot of stuff and try it out. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
But I think the way it changed is, if you listen, because Prince is not a whole lot different. Obviously he's a musical genius, but he's not a whole lot different than a lot of other people because we're inspired by, people that are out there doing it, and, there was a lot of groups out there doing a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at the charts like, everybody else does. He would look at them, he'd go, this is number one. I need to do something maybe in that, in that area.
Yeah.
And record companies are not shy about pointing that out to you. I've had a record executive literally cut out the top 10, R&B and tell me, why don't you do something like that?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, because, I and Prince as well are artists, and so, we really take it serious, from our fathers, I think they instilled a lot of that. So we really take what we do as art serious, and somebody trying to, dumb our music down is not something that goes down easy. But, I think at the end of the day, you look at the charts, you put a record out and, it goes to a certain number, maybe not so high.
Yeah.
Then the ego starts to get in and starts to go, I can do this stuff. I mean, I can do this stuff blindfolded and tied behind my back if I want to.
Yeah.
But, so then you start going, well, let me aim for it. Let me just see if I can do it.
Yeah.
And then, you look at that, you see what it is, you go,
Right
bullseye.
there.
And then, you hit it, and I think that's part of his thing, as far as the change is concerned.
Yeah. Well, what I loved about the Dirty Mind album was that the insert, now the band has identity to the public.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the first time it was like, okay, this is Andre, this is Lisa, this is Dez. It's like now the band has identity. It's not just Prince. It's like there's a band. I mean, even though we knew the band and saw the band in videos, but now you had names.
Yeah, but not everybody did, and I think it was a really conscious effort on Prince's part, and I really appreciate it, and I think the rest of the band did as well, because in his band at that point, you really had a band of sort of leaders. That was part of our push when we were doing it, is to try to get at least front men, me, Prince, and Dez, to be able to handle each part of the stage, and Prince obviously the center stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that was for him, that was really important. And then, and I think to sort of keep us, engaged, because everybody was kind of, it was like we were like bursting at the seams to go do our own thing. I mean, he always knew I wanted to go do my own thing, because, we came into it with me, I'd already done, I basically had already done an album before he did.
Definitely.
But so I was bursting at the seams. Dez was kind of bursting at the seams in his whole thing. And so what he did, which was very, very smart, is he had us, we went down to Colorado, down to Boulder, and recorded an album we called ourselves the Rebels. And we did that album. There's a lot of really cool songs on that album. Yeah. But that kind of kept us sort of in check. Yeah. And what I think that did was it sparked the idea of really giving, these people that he respected as musicians and as people, give them an identity. And then I think when you saw Dirty Mind, it was reflected in that, because I think sometimes just being on your own is kind of lonely. It's just, but people can identify with a lot of different characters. Yeah. And and especially in that, in that setting, because you had, Matt's an unbelievable keyboard player. Yeah. Bobby's a phenomenal drummer. Yeah. Gail was, she was pretty cool in her own right, but it was Lisa at that point, and Lisa's phenomenal. Dez blows me away. Some of the music that Dez did, and just Dez's wit, it's just, everybody brought, a special air of sort of funk, sophistication, personality to the whole, atmosphere, and definitely to the live presentation. So, they were more or less rewarded by, letting the fans understand who these folks were. Yeah. And then he obviously carried it on with the Revolution and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So during the controversy, I guess probably while recording Controversy, you made a decision to walk away and start doing André Cymone as a solo artist. Was there a moment where you just said, it's time to go? Or was it just a decision that you just said,
Well, it's kind of a couple of things. Okay.
Well, partly, share what you can.
What you want.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I literally said, look, I'm gonna, I got your back. Yeah. You signed a 3-album deal. I'm with you for 3 albums. Because I never. And it's nothing against him, because I think he's phenomenal. Yeah. He's a genius, and all the different things that people ever always say about him is absolutely true. But for me, I was never interested in being in somebody's band, because I was, he and I started out together, and we were in a band together, and that I loved. I loved the idea. I always thought I want to be in the most unbelievable band, which we managed to do. Yeah. But to just be in somebody's band where they're the main guy and I'm just some guy somewhere in the background, it's just it doesn't fit with my character or personality in any way, shape, or form. But him being my best friend, I was happy to do it. And so I was down to do it for those 3 albums. And then after that, I was planning on bouncing anyway. But, life happens, people change, personalities change, and fame and money, can change just about anybody. And unfortunately, that becomes the case. And I don't have any time or patience for that.
And it happens. You started working with Owen Husney.
Yes.
Who's fantastic.
Yes, he is.
Just saw him during COVID. So you went on to release then music with him. You had your solo album. What year was that?
Oh, now you're asking. You're asking the tough questions. You're asking
like
my
81
mind.
or something.
You're asking me to flip on a mind switch. No, it was 81. But I think it's 81, 82, because there was a period of time where my car was repossessed. It was rough. And, oddly enough, Owen definitely helped me get a record deal.
Yeah.
But my record deal came initially. Well, the first contact was, I really didn't know how you go about doing stuff like that. All I know is I came off of that tour and was like, I gotta get my stuff going, because I had a lot of ideas and I knew what I was going to do a whole different kind of music at that point. But I had to change up. But time, happened, and I called up Columbia, because that was a company I wanted to be on. I called them up. I said, "Listen, I'm André Cymone, and I want a record deal, and I'm a bad motherfucker, and you should just sign me to a record deal." And they laughed, ha ha ha. And they said, "Yeah, André Cymone." And somebody must have said, "Wait, if that's really André Cymone, he's in Prince's band, you should probably see if he's got anything, so." And they said, "You know what, send us a demo tape." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so then I reached out to Owen. I said, "Owen, listen, I made a phone call to Columbia, and they said they're interested in maybe giving me a record deal." So he helped me put together a demo tape and a package, and we sent it and said, "This is me." Yeah. So it's really kind of a crazy, very Andre type story, because I'm just so I'm unorthodox, and just do it. I'm just going to call him up. What's the number? I look for the number of Columbia Records. "Hi, is this Columbia Records?" "Listen, I'm André Cymone."
The Yellow Pages.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you had 3 albums with them.
Yeah.
Living in the New Wave, Surviving in the 80s,
Yep.
and AC.
Yep.
And one thing that I always loved that I want to kind of get your take on is you focused on the future a lot. A lot of them were conceptualized about the future. What was your thinking about behind that? Well,
first, it was, how do I say this nicely? First, I was going to do a funk thing, Zoot Suit and the whole nine. I had a whole vibe. I made the mistake of opening up my big fat mouth and telling someone about it. And so the time was born. So I had to shift. Yeah. I had to shift and do something different. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do something different. And I loved, craft work. Yeah. I was really into craft work. I was really into Devo. I was really, really into David Sylvian and a lot of Yellow Magic Orchestra. And, I was always into different kinds of stuff. So I just, I just plugged into that, and it got me in a whole lot of trouble. I thought I could do this fusion thing, but I really thought fans could appreciate somebody coming from that standpoint and doing something really different, and a lot of them did, But I do think, because let's see, in my mom's basement, we really kind of created a vibe, and in the Jackson's basement, the Jackson lives next door to us. We did a lot of practicing back there, but that's where we kind of really woodshedded and kind of created a vibe and a musical kind of style. And I kind of got away from it, and so I'm kind of, because was kind of there in the beginning. It's interesting now because so many other people that have come along after that vibe was kind of created are kind of getting a lot of credit, which is fine, which is great, because Minnesota's breeded a lot of amazing artists, but I think what we initially sort of created doesn't really get to be heard so much. So I thought it'd be great to go back and kind of pay respect for what we initially did down in my mom's basement, and that kind of, because we had a very, very, people really don't know, but we had a very conscious kind of musical perspective on how we went about creating what we were creating back then. And even on his first records, there was a very conscious production perspective. So, and I just kind of walked away from it. I did it for a few other artists, but I never did it for myself. So I'm kind of eager to do that again.
That basement, wouldn't you think that's where the Minneapolis sound was created? I mean, when you think about the two of you first, and then everyone that followed, all the artists that, followed after, but when you really think about it, that's where it was created? When you think about the Minneapolis
root
sound?
of it,
Yeah.
root.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that to a large degree, but I can't really say that completely because Minneapolis has a lot of amazing musicians, and we were lucky enough to be able to see some phenomenal bands like Flight Time, like
Right.
the Family Back to Black, which was Sonny Thompson's band, and they are just as much a part of the Minneapolis sound, and so is Jimmy and Terry. I mean, I mean, so it's hard for me to really say that, to try to, take credit myself for the Minneapolis sound or give credit to Prince for the Minneapolis sound, because we were all influenced by everybody. Yep. But there's a certain, I mean, we were just different, everybody was really great, but we were just doing something a little different because they had horns,
Right.
Most of those bands had horn players and stuff like that. We didn't have horn players. We just had my sister,
Yeah.
and so we had her playing like, little organ patterns, doing horn parts that eventually turned into synth, because synths came out and we couldn't afford one at first, but when we finally got our new keyboard that had like these little kind of cheesy sounds, we had her playing that. And that is how that, and that's what I'm talking about getting back to, because, obviously my bass style was very unique. And everybody that grew up, around the area at the time very much knew about my, my specific bass playing style, because, people would actually want me to show them, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I would actually do it. But, so I mean, there was a very unique, and obviously Prince came with his unique guitar playing, and and put that together. And Morris, I mean, Morris was just, it's hard to even. That's one thing that really breaks my heart is just how phenomenal Morris is on drums, and to think that he doesn't play as much as he should. Because I always wanted Morris to be, when Prince got his record deal, I wanted Morris to be in the band, but Bobby wound up being, because Bobby was always there,
Right.
and Prince really wanted to have a kind of a multi-racial Sly and the Family Stone kind of vibe. So,
Wow. It's fascinating. I feel like I'm drooling. I don't even know. I'm like, I got my cards. I'm like, so Dance Electric. Everybody loves that. What do you remember about that? I just want to know some like secrets or anything.
How did you end up with Dance Electric?
Tell us.
wow, Dance Electric. Let's see. I think, if I remember correctly, as would happen with Prince, throughout until he passed away, I would always get a phone call, and he'd, play me music and, whatever. And, if I was in the air, if he was in town, he would say, come by here, come by there, and whatever, and we usually would connect, and he'd play me something and try to get my opinion. Stuff that we used to do when we were kids was like, he kind of obviously missed that kind of, that, unbiased,
Right.
Unfiltered sort of, that's amazing or that sucks or whatever.
It's great camaraderie, the two of you.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it was really, a two-way kind of thing, because we were very, very competitive. But yeah, no, he said that he had this song, and he knew how, into politics and stuff like that. And I was always kind of into sort of political statements and things like that, and making all these subliminal things. But and he said, I got this song. It sounds, I'd keep it for myself, but it sounds like you. And he kept telling me that, and I actually didn't want to do it, because I really didn't. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have the Prince connection. I was trying to get away from all of that.
Yeah.
But I think I spoke to my mom. And my mom was like, he really, it's him reaching out, trying to say, listen, let's just bury the hatchet on all the other stuff, because there was a lot of other issues that were, surrounding what was going on. And, and I thought it was a way to really put all that negativity behind and really do something together. And I was working on my album here at Ocean Way. Ocean Way. And him and his dad came down, and we he played the song, and we wound up working on it. He fell in love with my production. His dad fell in love with my production assistant, Jamie Newman.
Yeah.
And was just like fawning all over. I was like, I mean, literally, it was like, it was
He was
interesting.
adorable.
Yeah, he's really, really super, super cool. But yeah, and the rest, I mean, I know my record company was really, stoked, because they really wanted me to do that, because obviously Prince was hot,
Right.
and they thought I was doing some weird space music, so they wanted me to do something,
Yeah, it was
something-
right on the heels of Purple Rain. And
Exactly.
That was right.
yeah.
It was
So
prime
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was beautiful. It was great.
Well, you were producing. You were producing everybody.
You became
producing the girls,
very-
Champaign King. Yeah.
And then I put this in parentheses. You left the camp and you became a super successful producer on your own. And you were writing hits for Jody Watley, who was your wife. You have a son.
All right.
And those songs came out.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, they were the best songs ever written for a woman.
Yeah, she won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist.
Sure did.
That's a pretty.
And
pretty
you were the
serious-
leading man in all the videos.
Yes.
I was? Oh, wow.
Don't you want me? And Some Kind of Lover.
No, it was fun.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jody she's an amazing, when I heard her voice, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I loved her in Shalimar.
Yeah.
But when I heard her voice,
Yeah.
we actually got in the studio.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, she's got
Yeah.
the most, amazing voice. Her presence is just the way she delivers, was just, it's so pure.
Yeah.
And, we just, I would write a bunch of songs and she would, she would write lyrics, and come up with stuff. And, sometimes, I'd send her maybe a tape with about 5 or 6 songs on it. She'd usually pick the more avant-garde ones, and I'd have to say, but what about that one right there? She's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, let me work on that. And it
Yeah.
wound up looking for a new love.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was amazing.
Monster songs.
And I mean, you wrote, how many albums did you do on Jody? 3, 4?
I think we did 3, and then she.
I mean, Friends
Yeah.
and Real Love.
Yeah, no, it was.
I mean, hit after
Yeah,
hit.
that was a
after
lot.
hit
And then we
after
had, obviously Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah.
And we had Bennett Freed was our manager, both managed her and I. And Bennett is an amazing music person.
Yeah.
And he's a good person just all the way around. But I think he had a lot to do with pulling us, in directions and guiding things in ways and really kind of making us look at things from different perspectives. Because it's always, it's always easy to say, oh, me or oh, that, but sometimes there's other people that are, that are involved that really kind of give you, insight. He was the one who actually hooked me up with Gardner Cole and Adamant. So,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
We're looking here. So you've produced and written songs for Evelyn Champagne King, Pebbles, Jermaine Stewart,
Hate.
The
Yeah,
Girls, Pretty Poison, Adamant,
Wow.
James Ingram. I mean, all right.
Tina Turner,
Tina Turner.
Tom Jones.
Tell us about that situation and how did that come
Tina
about?
Turner.
Yeah, that it was amazing, but it's slightly bittersweet because my record company would not allow me to I was under contract and I was supposed to be working on a solo album.
Okay.
And they wouldn't allow me to travel, and I had to do her album. She was in Germany, and so they wouldn't allow me. I couldn't go do her album, so I had to do it via satellite.
Oh.
So it was kind of crazy. It was like I think one of the early days of doing stuff like that, But basically, it was basically doing it by FaceTime, which is crazy. But it was new technology. But it was, the song was "Break Through the Barrier" on Days of Thunder,
Wow.
and yeah.
What about Adamant? I'm just curious because Adamant dated Denise Matthews, Vanity, and then you, as friends with Prince, start working with Adamant. What was that like? I'm a big Ant fan.
Yeah, no, Adam is amazing. Me and Adam became really good friends.
Yeah.
We were really, really good friends and hung out, and we used to go over his house and watch boxing matches, and we just got to be really good friends. We almost went motorcycle riding right before we were going to go. I think he got hurt. I think he I don't know, either sprained his ankle or broke his leg or something happened. But no, he's. I mean, for one thing, he's an extremely, extremely, extremely smart man. You know, and very, very knowledgeable about just about everything. And we had so much fun. I mean, I really think that might be the most fun I had working on a project because, you know, Adam's sense of humor is just off the chain.
Really?
Yeah.
So we don't even know that about him.
Oh no, his sense of humor is just
I could see it.
off
I
the
don't know
chain.
him, but I
We
could see it.
we spent so much time laughing and just having fun, and you know, making that record was just a blast. And you know, the day I met Adam, ran into Luther, which was interesting. But the day I met Adam, we went to Hugo's, I think. You know,
Here in West WeHo?
yeah, yep,
I used to live up the street.
yeah. And we sat out there, and I know, just listening to Adam talk, all the songs that I wound up coming up with, all just popped in my head. You know,
From his
just as I was just sitting there,
verbiage.
I was just sitting there listening, and by the time we finished lunch, and I went back to my, I think at the time I was living in an apartment at the Oakwood Apartments. I went and put I think I wound up doing, originally I was only going to do a few songs, and he wound up asking me to do the whole album.
How fun.
But
That was done here in L.A.
yeah.
So you didn't go to England?
No,
it was all done here.
You know, I wanted to. I would love to have gone to England. I had a whole plan. I was going to do 2 drummers and his whole vibe, and he was like, "No, I want you to do what you do." And I was like, "But you know." And I always, that's one thing I always wanted to, I was like looking forward. Just when I put it together in my mind, I had like, 2 drummers, and I was going to, I was going to hire, bohemian musicians and all kinds of other stuff. And he was like, no. He was like, and we wound up really just jamming and having fun. We did other stuff that had nothing to do with his record, just music. And we just had fun. It was just great.
That's so great to hear about him doing all that. We had no idea.
That's
his
great.
personality. I mean, you could see his attire, costume, and all that.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Well, I want to, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you are definitely, at least from what I know of you, you're a politically astute person.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have definitely, in recent years, been creating some music that I'll say politically intelligent. You know
Thank
what
you.
I mean? And so tell us about some of the material. I know there's tons of material that we haven't heard, and we can't wait to hear. But some of the things that I know that I've gone to pre-COVID. I've gone to a couple of your shows here in LA, and some of your material, funk and rock and unbelievable stuff. And just tell us about some of your more recent projects that you've done.
Well, recent, I'll work now and go back, I guess. Recent, we just released a Soulmates album, which is me, Paul Peterson from The Family.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Mick Murphy from The System.
Oh.
And Gardner Cole, who did Madonna's Open Your Heart and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, he and I did a couple of Jody things together.
Okay.
But, that album just got released, which is amazing because it we spent the summer of '93 we just all took time off of what we were doing and went into Gardner's studio in his garage and we cut like 20 some songs, and then we kind of had a couple ideas, a couple of people had a couple of connections, but then we all got busy, and then one of the record company people that were working with us said, we'd love to do that one song for Tom Jones, if that's okay. So we wound up doing Something for Your Head for Tom Jones that was on that album. But they just released that after 30 years.
Wow.
So that, and I'm really excited about that. But going back to the political thing, what kind of got me back into music, because I took like a 27-year hiatus, which is insane. But Trayvon Martin's, murder is what kind of got me back into it, because I just thought that was such a travesty. And I wound up writing a song about it, and I thought, you know what, I don't know how many people are gonna buy it, but I just wanted to do something. So I wrote that, put it out, and said all the money would go to his family's efforts to try to seek justice, and and then I just got into it because my mother was into it. And I thought, you know what, let me use my musical power and platform to try to do good stuff, because I know my mom would love for me to do that. And, I think Prince would be, proud of that as well, because I kind of name checked him back then because I thought more people should get involved. And when Barack Obama was running, I did a song and, donated the proceeds to his campaign.
America.
Yeah. And I actually did another song that I was trying to that I wound up writing there. This amazing song that I didn't get it out. So I'm going to figure out what to do. It's called Yes We Can. But I wrote it and was trying to get it to his campaign.
I love that. Yes We Can. It's in Spanish. We always say Si se puede, which is our political anthem. Si se puede.
That's
yes,
right.
we can.
Yeah.
That's
this
beautiful.
That song's amazing. I had to do something with it one of these days.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I got into a bunch of stuff, and I've been kind of doing that. Bernie Sanders, I did some stuff working on, tried to put some stuff out. Got people out to vote in Wisconsin and did a song for that. Got some people, tried to get some people out to vote in Atlanta, and got John Ossoff and Warnock. I didn't do it, but people came out, and I tried to do whatever I can and put a song out, a video, and try to promote that. And Keith Ellison, I went when he was running for DNC chair. I went out there and played to a crowd, met Nina Turner, and did a thing for her campaign. So I really tried to get involved as much as I could.
That's great. That's great.
We need your voice.
Yeah. I'm a grandson of two politicians, so I feel all of that.
Your mother, man, I got to tell you, I spoke to
your mom. Your mama.
I spoke to your mom on the phone. I remember sitting in the Walgreens driveway, parking lot. I must have talked to her about 2 hours, something like that.
My mom.
Yeah. A friend of mine, Jerry Cordet, put us in touch, and he said, you got to talk to Malia. You got to talk. And so she called me up, and we just talked. We talked about a bunch of stuff. But we talked about music and maybe getting together and working on some music. So, and I mean, it was just, that conversation was an education.
Oh yes,
that was an education for me, man. You are blessed. You're lucky, because I think all of us to have people, that do what we do, in the entertainment business. Yeah. It's important because it's a kind of inspiration that makes you realize you can do it.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes, that little bit is the push or the kick or the shove.
Yeah,
you need to push you over the edge.
That's right. That's right. Are we gonna do the 10 questions, or is there anything else you want to?
I have one.
Go ahead.
One last question. Where were you when you heard the news about Prince?
I was at home, and the crazy thing was, because I'm a news junkie, and I was watching the news, and I couldn't take it anymore. The Donald Trump stuff was getting on I couldn't, I just felt like the media was trying to elect this guy. And I remember posting on Facebook, I think it was either Facebook or Twitter. I don't know if Twitter was really as much a thing as it, became, but I remember saying, I'm sick of this. I'm not watching TV anymore on that day, right? And so I shut it off, and I started watching Alfie. Yeah, Michael Caine. I started watching Alfie, and there was a knock at my door, and I looked, because it's like, nobody really knows where I live, and I'm a very,
I do.
Quiet.
We do.
I'm a very quiet person, and I'm not, and so people knocking on my door unexpected is sort of rare. So I looked out, and I was like, they said, "Do you have anything to say?"
Oh,
and I was
Jesus.
like, "What are you talking about?" And I just said, "Go get," I said a few things and told him, get to, And so, and then, and shut my, and I thought, that's weird. What are they talking about? Then I got a phone call from a friend of mine that said something about somebody found, deceased at Paisley Park. And they were saying, it ain't. I said, Prince? He said, no, it can't be Prince. He said, Prince would, I think he said something like, Prince would kill somebody else before he would allow somebody, something crazy like that. And I was like, and then I hung up, and then I got another phone call from him again. He said, they're saying that it's Prince. And I was like, and then then I got the knock at the door again, and they were saying, what do you think? Do you believe it? Is it true? Is it, I'm like, and then I realized, oh my God, that can't be. And then I was in a total state of denial. Then I started making phone calls, and eventually got to people that I knew would know. And then it was like, and then I was just, I didn't even know what to, because I was teaching kids at my kids' grade school, and which was interesting because it really didn't hit me, which is odd. But it didn't hit me until, because I had to, get myself together and go to my kids' grade school and teach, the kids. I would, I was teaching, I was playing guitar, and they would sing songs, and I was trying to teach them how to write music. Yeah. And one of the kids said, I heard your best friend died. Oh. And I just was like, I didn't even know what to say. Yeah. I was like, and I mean, after the kid said that, the principal came and just gave me a big hug. And I just melted. I mean, I just melted in her arms. Yeah. And that's, and that's it. And, and then I spoke with his sister and his brother and the family. And I just, I still, I honestly still in a little bit of denial. I mean, only because, I knew this guy. This is my best friend, literally. Yeah. I mean, I've never really, have had another best friend like that. And that was kind of it. And so all the different things you think about, that you clown about, that you joke about, and you talk about, we used to talk about Elvis, because we both used to be Elvis fans, and we'd say Elvis isn't dead. Elvis is somewhere eating a pizza. And so I was thinking, part of me was thinking, Prince ain't dead. Prince is somewhere eating a pizza. No, he didn't eat pizza. So I would go round and round, and but it's just, I mean, it still breaks my heart, because obviously it's way too soon, because obviously he, in my opinion, had so much more to give. Yeah. Artistically, musically, spiritually, mentally, I always thought we would reconnect, because we always pushed each other. We always pushed each other, and I know he would have, the music that I make, he would have had a lot to say about it. And, obviously he would have, if we would ever become, kind of friends we were again, it would have been interesting to see what we, what we came up with, and, and all the different things. I mean, I always, I don't have too many regrets. I don't believe in living in regrets, but one of the few things that I regret is us not really coming back together and being the kind of friends we were, because we really, I think I would have, pushed each other in, those days where, you really need somebody that is not going to just tell you what you want to hear, but, they're going to tell you what you need to hear.
Just say yes,
and,
right?
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Yes,
and, I was always, I was always that to him. He was always that to me, and we were always that to each other.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
It's all our losses.
Yeah.
But for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that,
switching gears. Okay. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and we're gonna kind of go through what I call. Do we need tissue?
Nah.
You sure?
I'm good.
We're gonna thug it out.
That's fine.
Okay, we're gonna thug it out.
Thug it out.
Okay, we're gonna thug it out. Okay. So we're going to go through a little quick lightning round of Seth's 10 questions, okay?
These are awesome.
Tell me one thing about you most people don't know.
I play basketball.
Awesome.
What has been the best part about being André Cymone?
My family, my wife.
What's been the most challenging part about being André Cymone?
My family.
What has been your highest career point to date?
Writing that song for Trayvon Martin.
Wow.
What has been your biggest career regret to date?
I don't know that I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Okay. What's the biggest public misconception about you?
That I'm angry.
What's the craziest rumor you have ever heard about yourself?
That I'm angry. It's the eyebrows. There's nothing I can do about it.
If sex were a food for you, what food would it be?
Sushi.
Ooh.
If you could take places with one person for a day, who would it be and why?
Apollonia, because she's beautiful.
It's a lot of work getting ready, though. He'd be like, what?
I'll take
What
it.
this? Mascara? These?
Hey, I'll take it.
Finish this sentence. If I could do it all over again, I would.
Wow, if I could do it all over again. I mean, it's hard to say because I'm doing everything. I've done everything that I want to do. The one thing that I haven't done is I want to make movies. That's the one thing that I've always said I was going to do.
And you shall.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've written like 17 screenplays, something like that.
Yeah.
Turns out I have a thing for writing screenplays. I didn't know it, but so I guess that's probably it.
And I want the public to know that I've been trying to get him to let me read there's a one script that's something very special to him, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm hopeful. It's one day.
All right, well.
Wow. Anything else?
That was 10 questions. That was quick.
That was 10.
Yeah,
That's the
10
lightning round.
questions. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You happy?
I think this
I'm
has
just
been an unbelievable thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
André.
you for
No, absolutely.
spending this time with us.
Got to do some music.
Yeah, we got to do Take Me With You. The last time I sang that was at First Avenue. Thanks to Bobby Z for the Purple Heart organization.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
he's had some issues. This was June 28th, 2014 at First Avenue.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
there. It was a tough one because my father had passed away a couple of days before
Oh,
that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And so I almost wasn't going to do that. And I know Prince wanted to get together and all of that.
Yep.
I wound up, oddly enough, with Matt Fink drinking away the blues in a Russian restaurant.
Oh, no. That's so strange.
Which
And
was very strange.
you were with him, and that night, I ended up, that was the night that Prince and I celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
June 28th, 2014 at Paisley Park. Yeah, you had, Third Eye Girl up there. And
Yeah. I was supposed to go. Yeah.
yeah, it was incredible,
I was
He's like, there's a party. And I was like, there's nobody here.
Yeah, well, June 27th is my birthday, so I had
Yep, June 28th.
It was a weird, I mean, that might be a regret. I mean, I'd say if I would say there's a regret that I probably should have gone because he seemed to want me to show up pretty bad, and I thought he was going to come in. Everybody said he was going to come in the show, and I was a little disappointed that he didn't come in the show. And he should have came and jammed, and and so I was pretty disappointed that he didn't come, and because how often do I I don't do stuff like that very often, and I mean, he knew I was in town, and he could have just came, jumped up on stage, and we could have had a blast. But anyway, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that now.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I wish, whatever, people could do to just just always remember what it's really all about. It's, and get past all the things that you think it's all about. Because at the end of the day, it's about friendship. It's about love. Yeah. It's about unity. It's about people coming together and doing what God gave you the gifts to do.
That's right.
And
Amen to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't, I've never been, into it for money. Mm-hmm. I just never have. I mean, I'd probably be very rich if I had. Yeah. I just have never, money is not a motivation to me. It's really friendships. Mm-hmm. So I take friendship very seriously, and I take family and people who I consider family very seriously, because I always have, because my family is a very close-knit family. Yeah. And so people who, allow me to be in their world and I allow in my world, I take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we love you, and I think that is probably the best note to go out on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Andre. I love you, my brother. God bless you. I love your family.
Thank you so much.
Oh, we got to have Andre.
We have autographs.
Yeah, we got to have him autograph. What it was. All right. So for our fans, we've got some great André Cymone CDs here. We're going to have them sign it for us, and we are going to do some giveaways, special things for our people watching. We're going to have our brother sign these for you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. We love you.
Apollonia Studio 6, and
we
love you.
Thank you.
All right.
It's fine. Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. You ready?
Yes.
All right. I know you're ready, but am I ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't disguise the pounding of my heart. It beats so strong. It's in your eyes. What can I say? They turn me on. I don't care where we go. I don't care what we do. I don't care, pretty baby. Just take me with you. Come on and touch the place in me that's calling out your name, baby. We want each other oh so much. Why must we play this game, baby? I don't care where we go. I don't care what we do. I don't care, pretty baby. Just take me with you. I don't care if we spend the night in your mansion. I don't care if we spend the night on the town. All I want is to spend the night together. All I want is to spend the night in your arms. I don't care where we go. I don't care what we do. I don't care, pretty baby. Just take me with you. That was fun. That was fun. That was.
Thank you,
Thank you,
brother. Oh my
cool.
God,
Awesome.
my palms are sweaty. Awesome. Thank you, Prince.
Yes.
Thank you, Prince.
That's a great song. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.